What if I told you that you could make people like you more in just 2 seconds? Or that there's a simple trick to win almost any argument? Human psychology is fascinating, and once you understand how the mind works, you gain an incredible advantage in everyday life. Today, I'm sharing 15 proven psychological tricks that actually work, backed by science, not pseudoscience. These aren't manipulative tactics, they're insights into human behavior that can help you communicate better, build stronger relationships, and navigate social situations with confidence. Trick number 12 is something I use every single day, and it's a complete game changer. Welcome to Vault Insights. If you're fascinated by how the human mind works and want practical knowledge you can use immediately, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss our weekly uploads. Let's dive into the psychology of everyday life. Trick number 1, the doorway effect. Ever walked into a room and completely forgotten why you went there? That's called the doorway effect, and it happens to everyone. Neuroscience research shows that our brains compartmentalize information by location. When you pass through a doorway, your brain treats it as an event boundary and files away the previous context, sometimes taking your immediate memory with it. Here's the practical trick: if you need to remember something, visualize yourself doing it in the specific room where you'll do it. Going to the kitchen? Picture yourself opening the fridge and grabbing the milk while you're still in the living room. This mental rehearsal creates a stronger neural pathway that survives the doorway effect. It sounds simple, but it works remarkably well. Trick number 2, mirroring for instant rapport. Want someone to like you more within minutes? Subtly mirror their body language. When they lean forward, you lean forward a few seconds later. When they cross their arms, you do the same casually. This technique, called mirroring or the chameleon effect, has been extensively studied and proven to increase likability and trust. The key word here is subtle. If you mirror too obviously or too quickly, it feels creepy and artificial. Wait 3 to 5 seconds before matching their posture, and don't mirror every single movement. When done naturally, mirroring communicates that you're on the same wavelength, and the other person's subconscious registers you as someone who understands them. It's particularly powerful in job interviews, first dates, and sales situations. Trick number 3, the Benjamin Franklin effect. This one sounds backwards, but it's brilliant. If you want someone to like you more, ask them for a small favor. Benjamin Franklin discovered this accidentally when he asked a political rival to lend him a rare book. After the rival agreed, their relationship improved dramatically. Why? Because our brains justify our actions. If we do someone a favor, we subconsciously think, I must like this person, otherwise why would I help them? The favor must be small and reasonable, asking to borrow a pen, requesting a book recommendation, or seeking their advice on something they know about. This creates a subtle psychological bond and often transforms neutral relationships into positive ones. But remember, always express genuine gratitude. The effect only works if they feel their help was appreciated. Trick number 4, strategic silence in conversations. Most people are terrible at handling silence in conversations and rush to fill every pause. Here's the trick: after someone finishes speaking, wait 2 full seconds before responding. This simple pause does 3 powerful things. First, it shows you're actually thinking about what they said rather than waiting for your turn to talk. Second, it makes you appear more thoughtful and intelligent. Third, it often prompts the other person to elaborate and reveal more information. This technique is especially effective in negotiations, interviews, and when you're trying to gather information. Journalists and investigators use this constantly because people are uncomfortable with silence and will often fill it with additional details they weren't planning to share. Just 2 seconds of pause, it feels longer than it is, but the impact is significant. Trick number 5, the foot in the door technique. Need someone to agree to a big request? Start with a tiny one first. This is called the foot in the door technique, and it's based on the principle of consistency. Once someone agrees to a small request, they're psychologically primed to agree to a larger related request because they want to remain consistent with their previous decision. For example, if you want a colleague to help with a major project, first ask them for a quick opinion on something small. Once they've engaged, they're much more likely to agree to greater involvement. Charities use this brilliantly. They start by asking if you care about their cause, almost everyone says yes, then move to asking for donations. The key is that the small request must be genuinely easy and low commitment, and the larger request should follow naturally within a reasonable time frame. Trick number 6, the power of names. Dale Carnegie famously said that a person's name is the sweetest sound in any language to them. Neuroscience confirms this. Hearing our own name activates unique parts of our brain associated with self-representation. Here's the trick: use someone's name more often in conversation, but not excessively. When you greet someone, use their name. When you're making a point, occasionally include their name. When you're saying goodbye, use it again. Studies show that using someone's name makes them feel valued and increases their positive feelings toward you. However, use this sparingly. 2 to 3 times in a normal conversation is perfect. More than that starts to feel manipulative or like you're trying too hard. The effect is subtle but powerful. Trick number 7, the Zeigarnik effect for productivity. The Zeigarnik effect is a psychological phenomenon where our brains obsess over uncompleted tasks more than completed ones. Russian psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik noticed that waiters remembered incomplete orders better than completed ones. Here's how to use this to your advantage. When you're working on something difficult and hit a stopping point, stop in the middle of a sentence or in the middle of a task, not at the end. This sounds counterintuitive, but it works brilliantly. Your brain will keep processing the incomplete task in the background, making it much easier to resume later. You'll find yourself thinking about how to continue, and when you return to work, you'll start immediately instead of facing the dreaded blank page. Writers use this technique constantly. Ernest Hemingway famously stopped mid-sentence at the end of each writing session so he'd know exactly where to begin the next day. Trick number 8, the Pratfall effect. Perfect people are actually less likable than people who occasionally make small mistakes. This is called the Pratfall effect, discovered by psychologist Elliot Aronson. When competent people make minor, harmless mistakes, it makes them more relatable and humanizes them in others' eyes. If you spill a little coffee, trip slightly, or make a minor verbal slip-up, don't over-apologize or show excessive embarrassment. Acknowledge it with humor and move on. This brief moment of imperfection can actually increase how much people like you because it signals authenticity and approachability. However, this only works if you're generally competent. If you're constantly making mistakes, additional errors just reinforce incompetence. The key is the contrast, mostly capable with occasional harmless imperfections. Trick number 9, the reciprocity principle. Humans are hardwired for reciprocity. When someone does something for us, we feel psychologically compelled to return the favor. This principle is so powerful that it works even with tiny gestures. Here's the practical application: if you want someone to help you, help them first, even in small ways. Buy a coffee for a colleague before asking for their input on a project. Offer genuine compliments before making a request. Share useful information before asking for information in return. The favor you give doesn't need to be large or expensive. The psychological effect works even with minimal gestures because humans hate feeling indebted. Businesses exploit this constantly with free samples, knowing that customers feel obligated to purchase after receiving something free. Use this ethically, and you'll find people naturally more willing to assist you. Trick number 10, the contrast principle. Our brain doesn't judge things in absolute terms. It judges them in comparison to what came immediately before. This is the contrast principle, and it's incredibly powerful. If you want something to seem more reasonable, present it after something more extreme. Real estate agents use this brilliantly. They show you an overpriced, terrible property first, then show you their actual target property, which suddenly seems like an amazing deal by comparison. In negotiations, start with a higher ask than what you actually want, so your real request seems reasonable. When giving feedback, sandwich criticism between positive comments so it feels less harsh. The contrast makes the middle option or message feel more acceptable. Restaurants place an extremely expensive item on the menu not because they expect many sales, but because it makes other expensive items seem more reasonable by comparison. Trick number 11, the power of nodding. This one seems too simple to work, but the research is clear. Nodding while listening makes people more likely to agree with you, and nodding while speaking makes your message more persuasive. Why? Mirror neurons. When you nod, the other person's brain unconsciously mirrors the gesture, and nodding is associated with agreement and positivity. Here's how to use it. When someone is speaking, nod gently 3 to 4 times to show you're engaged. When you're making an important point you want them to accept, nod slightly as you speak. The physical act of nodding activates neural pathways associated with agreement, making them more receptive to your message. But like all these techniques, subtlety is key. Excessive nodding makes you look like a bobblehead and has the opposite effect. Trick number 12, the power of because. Harvard psychologist Ellen Langer conducted a famous study showing that people are much more likely to comply with requests when you give them a reason, even if the reason is obvious or weak. In her experiment, people trying to cut in line at a copy machine had different success rates. Can I cut in line had a 60% success rate. But can I cut in line because I need to make copies jumped to 94% even though making copies is obvious at a copy machine. The word because triggers our brain's automatic compliance response. We're socially conditioned to accept explanations, even flimsy ones. Here's the practical application. Whenever you make a request, add because followed by any reasonable explanation. Could you review this document because I value your expertise? Works better than just, could you review this document? The reason doesn't need to be profound, it just needs to exist. This simple linguistic trick dramatically increases your success rate in getting what you need. Trick number 13, the scarcity principle. We want things more when they're scarce or running out. This is the scarcity principle, and it's one of the most powerful psychological triggers. Limited time offers, only 3 left in stock, exclusive memberships, these all exploit our fear of missing out. You can use this ethically in everyday life. When making plans, instead of saying I'm free anytime, say I'm free Tuesday or Thursday, but my schedule fills up quickly. When offering help, frame it as limited, I can help with this project, but I only have availability this week. This increases the perceived value of your time and makes people more likely to commit immediately. The trick works because scarcity signals value. If something is limited, our brain assumes it must be important or desirable. Just make sure the scarcity is real, not manufactured, or you'll damage trust. Trick number 14, the primacy and recency effects. People remember the first and last things you say much better than what you say in the middle. This is called the primacy and recency effect. In any presentation, conversation, or pitch, your opening and closing are disproportionately important. Here's the practical trick. Always put your strongest point first to grab attention, and your second strongest point last to leave a lasting impression. If you're in a job interview, mention your most impressive achievement early, and end with your most compelling reason why you want the job. If you're presenting to a group, open with your most exciting idea and close with a powerful call to action. The middle can contain supporting details and weaker arguments, most people will forget them anyway. Structure every important communication with strong bookends, and you'll be dramatically more persuasive. Trick number 15, the power pose. Your body language doesn't just communicate with others, it communicates with your own brain. Research by Amy Cuddy showed that adopting power poses, standing tall with hands on hips or arms raised in victory, for just 2 minutes increases testosterone, decreases cortisol, and makes you feel more confident. Before any important meeting, presentation, or difficult conversation, spend 2 minutes alone in a power pose. Stand like a superhero. Your brain will respond to your body's signals and shift into a more confident state. This isn't about faking confidence to fool others, it's about using your body to hack your own psychology. The effect is real and measurable. After the power pose, you'll speak more confidently, make better eye contact, and project genuine authority. It sounds silly, but elite athletes, CEOs, and performers use this technique constantly because it works. There you have it, 15 psychological tricks you can start using today. These aren't manipulative mind games, they're insights into how human psychology actually works. The beauty of understanding these principles is that you become more effective in all your interactions while remaining completely authentic. Which trick are you going to try first? Have you used any of these before? Share your experiences in the comments. I read every single one and love hearing your stories. If this video gave you valuable insights, smash the like button and subscribe to Vault Insights. We post new mind-expanding content every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. Next video, we're exploring the most dangerous places on Earth and why people still visit them. You won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and remember, understanding psychology isn't about controlling others, it's about understanding yourself and connecting with people more effectively. See you in the next video.